The recent oil spill on Bayou Lafourche has many wondering, how will this affect my health? What will this do to my property value? What if I make a living from these waters? At Waits & Downer, our years of experience puts us in a unique position to help you navigate through this impact. If you or a loved one has been affected by this spill, let our law firm help you out. Waits & Downer, helping you navigate through catastrophic impacts. Call us today at 985-876-0870.
All right, we are back on Bayou Time here with the Superintendent of Terrebonne Parish Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron. Good to see you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
All right, I know you've been busy. Everybody gets a summer vacation and a few things. I know you probably take them, but your mind's always focused on making the schools better. So that's just a labor of love, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Hey, you just got to keep on rolling.
We work through summer, and the only change is we don't have kids. Everything else is still, going forward. So
like Oreo Speedwagon said, roll with the changes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And y'all got a few changes, but one thing, I guess let's talk about Ida recovery first, because, and we talk about it so much, but it's necessary because it's so fluid. People are still repairing from Hurricane Ida.
Yeah, right.
What, 3.5 years ago? I lost count. I can't remember anymore. 3 years ago. But where do we stand on that?
Yeah, so, and we often say this in our meetings. So there's a silver lining to the repair work, and we're getting some new and updated schools in the process, and that's just a beautiful thing to see. And I could go, and I talk about a few schools often, but like I use Oak Lawn because it's a transforming school just with the changes we're doing there. And I said it often, we're doing roofing. We did flooring in every classroom. We did this window project with some of our federal ESSER money, the American Rescue Plan money. We were able to change out windows with some of that money. And I say, and I love people to go by if they're on the east side and want to just go down Oak Lawn Drive and ride around just to see what it looks like. It's not just changing out glass. We did the whole storefront wall. So it's really modern looking build. It's about as good as you can get, next to building a new facility.
Right.
Now we're going to change out the lighting too. So we talked about lighting in here, but just changing out lighting and putting new ceiling tiles and the ceiling grids transforms a room with new flooring, painted walls, the windows. So that's kind of what's going on at Oak Lawn. We have a lot happening.
Lighting, we didn't put too much depth into lighting when we were in school.
Right.
We had those fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
But as I got older and I learned that fluorescent lighting affects children a lot of times.
It does.
So when they go to LED lights, and I think it was the Irving Institute that proved, and my sister's a teacher in New Orleans, she said, when they used to put the colored gels over the page,
that's right.
A lot of students would calm down, they would learn better, and every student had a different color gel that their eyes registered to. But the fluorescence, I guess my point is, lighting's a big deal, isn't it?
It is. It makes a tremendous effect. And I'm a proponent for natural light as well. So as much as we can get coming in from outside, I think that enhances, functioning inside of a classroom.
Yeah.
And I was not always of that school of thought. I was one, draw the blind, let's conserve energy. But with these new windows, they're all the double insulated. We can really leave that open and get kids, some natural light coming. Just vision of clouds, and it sounds kind of a little, silly, but it makes a difference. I think when you can see sky and some trees and green coming in, it has a calming effect on kids.
It probably helps their creative mind.
I think it does. There's a lot of research behind that. And I like not to put blinds on windows. You know what I mean? Like just leave it open. And we have it kind of so that it's like a mirror lens on the outside of these newer windows. So you really don't need blinds for people looking inside from outside.
I think that's what impresses me about you, is the fact that you were a big athlete in high school, but you tend to really morph on that creative side a lot.
I have a touch of that, yeah, I do.
So you flow back and forth, don't you?
I do, and I'm learning a lot. Wife having some health concerns a while back. We did a lot of educating ourselves on just things that are just beneficial for people, and you learn a lot. There's a lot of things you can discover that we're typically not taught, and things that affect kids in classrooms in particular,
Yeah, so to put it into the IDA conversation, aren't you ready to move on from IDA?
Yeah, so ready. But we're getting to the point that it's gratifying to see the results of the repairs. Another school, Houma Junior High.
You're right.
We had stained ceiling tiles, and that doesn't sound like a big deal until you look at it and say, well, what is all that brown stuff on the ceiling? Well, it's this old stained tile, probably from the original build of the school. Well, we put drop ceilings, new LED lights, and it brightened up everything when you change floor and painted the inside of the school.
Steve Rome all the time.
Yeah.
And he's so excited. And of course.
Yeah, he's got the Terrebonne project coming as well. Yeah, so we're excited about that one too.
Yeah, so that's good.
That one needs a lot of attention.
But you're right. That's such a staple in the community.
Yeah.
That school.
Yes.
So to bring it back to life.
It's going to be nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice.
That's really what you see when you're in downtown Houma.
That's right. Yeah.
And I know you have to think of all the schools, and it's nice to see that, but there's a lot of alumni that went through Terrebonne High.
Yeah.
So I guess you're trying to infuse the alumni.
Yeah. And when you think about it, Martin, we're going to have a rebuilt Ellender. So that one's going to be demolished pretty soon, and then the rebuilding will start not long after that. So we have Ellender. South Terrebonne's getting a complete renovation interior, the interior building. We're going to spruce up the outside as well. Bourgeois had a lot of hurricane repair work, and we're going to do some work on the gym just to kind of complete Bourgeois. And then once we do Terrebonne, we'll have 4 either brand new or highly renovated buildings for our high school. So we're excited about that.
That's going to be pretty good. Yeah. Let's do this. We're going to take a break. Let's come back. We'll talk about some LEAP data that you have. We'll talk about literacy. We'll sort of deviate off our normal track so you can get in and talk about some of the things that are important.
Okay.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with the Superintendent of Terrebonne Parish Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. All right, welcome back. Our guest today is the Superintendent of Terrebonne Parish Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron. We're talking about a lot of different things. Let's talk about some school stuff. We've been talking about renovations and all, but let's talk about the LEAP data that you have. Let's start with that.
All right, sure. So last week we got, it's called proficiency data, which is not our school performance score, but it's an indicator of how well kids are achieving on the higher end of the scale. So there are five categories. You got we call them achievement levels. You got advanced and mastery, then you have basic, approaching basic, and unsat. So it's kind of like an A, B, C, D, F scale, like 5 scales. So proficiency is just the top 2. It's mastery and advanced. So they say mastery and above. So basic, approaching basic, and unsat, they don't get recognized in proficiency. Those are non-proficient, which is where our new scale is going to go. This new accountability system, we're only going to get awarded for mastery and above. Where currently we're awarded for basic kids. So they're reporting out a lot of data in proficiency. So with that said, as a district, we are 41% of our kids are proficient. So that means they're mastery and above. So you might wonder, well, is that good? We're not like satisfied with that, but out of 72 school districts in Louisiana, that's the 13th ranked school system. So we feel okay about that.
In the top of the school system.
We're in the top of the school systems, So,
but I know you too well. You're not going to be happy.
No. We need to grow that.
That's sort of your mantra.
It is. Yeah. It is, and so that's like a +2 in proficiency for our district. So, Matter of fact, we have some schools that grew tremendously. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of give
for sure.
recognition to Acadian Elementary. They grew 13% proficiency rate. So 13% more kids are scoring mastering above. Grand Caille Elementary, 11% gain. Dularge 7, Honduras, which is going to be combining with Acadian and Village East this year. We're consolidating there. They had a good year, 6% growth on proficiency. Then we have Southdown, Upper Little Caillou, and Lisa Park, 5% gain, and Shreveport with 4% gain. So those are our top gainers overall, district-wise, +2.
And how do you do the test on that? It's got to be some kind of formula that they've come up with that to score that. How do you know you're increasing on a yearly basis? They do performance test or whatever?
Yeah.
And the grades go up?
Right. Well, it's just basically all based off of the LEAP test, your LEAP score. That's the LEAP proficiency data.
Yep. I got you.
So we take that test and they just determine mastering above, and that's kind of how they're categorizing everything now.
That's got to make you proud when you see schools going up that much.
Yeah, most certainly, yes. And so the question is, because you want people to replicate what these schools that did well is, so we've got to start digging and say, okay, and having conversations. What did you do? Like Acadia and Miss Cook, principal there.
Yeah.
And what I'm pretty sure she's doing and she's done, and what others, you got to get good people and put them in the right positions, right? So
it could be one little thing Miss Cook is doing that encourages the students to perform that maybe is falling under the radar. And you got to find out what it is, right?
You got to ask the questions, right?
Yeah,
and she'll know exactly what it was. We have an idea of what it is, but we're going to have conversations with every school. Just to give you, Mulberry, they didn't have great growth. They had some growth, but they're like our highest performing.
They've already set the curve.
They kind of set the curve.
Yeah.
They're at 64% of their kids are proficient.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. Considering the district is 41.
Yeah.
Mulberry 64. Dularge had a really good year. So they're 62% proficient. And then you got Berg and Broadmoor coming in at 53 apiece. So
Where would 64%, if you could get the whole school system there, instead of being 13th, around?
no, well, the highest is 52.
Oh, wow.
So we'd be well above the state highest school district. Yeah.
So that's where all the rocket scientists are going right now,
Yeah,
right?
Right. So we're proud of that, and we had some literacy results too, because people are always focused on, are we getting kids to be able to read on grade level? Like that's the kind of buzzword, reading on grade level. Well, in Terrebonne, in K through third grade, 60% of our kids are reading on grade level. So, I mean, again, we're not proud of that, we are, but we're not finished the work there, right? But that's one of the high, it's probably in the top 10 at 60%. And what I like to say about that too, Martin, is if a kid is not in that number, let's say a kid is not in the higher levels, that doesn't mean they're not reading. Right. Like, I don't want people to understand, well, if you're not reading on grade level, you can't read. It just means you're just a little below that cut line. So they're reading just a little lower than what they.
But let me ask you, do they take into consideration the fact that, especially in this area, and I would imagine it's across the schools, and I don't mean this to be disparaging at all, but we have a lot of influx of new people coming in that speak Spanish.
Right.
And they're learning a new language.
Right. So that's really not considered. You do get a year of kind of where there's no score for some kids who come in. So there's like a year of like just no score.
Yeah.
But we're affected by that. But so is every other school system. As a matter of fact, a new component of our new accountability system is going to be how well schools move to get those kids speaking English. Like that's a major part of our score across the board, across every district in Louisiana.
Yeah, and I would think that's super important. Everybody get on the same page.
Right. Yeah. English speaking. So there's a test we give annually for that. So the results of that are going to be factored into our school score, our district score.
Let's do this. We'll take a break. We're going to come right back. We're going to have another segment with the superintendent. Some good information here. Don't go away.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
All right, we're back with the superintendent of Terrebonne Parish Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron. And let's talk, we've been talking about students, and let's talk about the teachers. Anything new when you're rating the teachers that we could talk about?
Yeah,
certification, I guess?
Well, so as far as that goes, we have a whole new evaluation system. So that's a new thing for everyone. So we're trying to really pull back from giving teachers more work, and look, we really have bought into this motto of just teach. It's time that teachers just get in and use you mentioned earlier, creativity. Well, we have a lot of creative people working for us, and we kind of stifle it, I think, sometimes because we're really promoting scores and numbers, and we chase numbers. We need to pull back and let teachers just do what they signed up to do, which is teach kids.
Because if they do that, the natural thing to follow will be the grades will go up, right?
It's got to, right?
Yeah.
So another thing we're doing with that philosophy, and we listen to teachers, and they've told us that, they were following scripts and just relegated to following what the manual said. We wanted to, so our rule is this: teach your standards however you want to teach them. If you want to do your own activity, insert it. If you want to add something or remove something from the textbook, you have that autonomy to make it yours. We didn't quite do that before, but it's time we do that. And Martin, we as you know, we've consolidated some schools. We've done some other adjustments to our budget. We were able to add a 10% pay raise to our teachers. So we did 5% last year, 10% this year. It puts us in probably the top 10 districts again in beginning teacher pay. So that just teach and helping out with some of the discipline things that they're dealing with in schools, we feel really good about where we're headed to getting some of the best people to come here to Terrebonne and teach.
But you had to be open as a superintendent to realize that. I mean, a lot of people can go in with blinders on and go, nope, we're going to do it this way. But you were smart enough to understand that, and I'm sure people around you, and let them breathe a little bit.
Yeah. And look, I was probably one of the most intense, trying to, teach it well so that we can generate good test scores and all. It's time we kind of back off because, like you said, that's what they were telling us. And we were at a point where we were losing teachers. Teachers aren't coming into the profession. Teachers were leaving, and you ask why. Too much pressure, too much stress. It's not worth the money. So we're trying to address both of those issues. Yeah,
those open mind things work pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Matter of fact, last year we were probably about 83% certified teachers, which is not bad.
Right.
This year we started in school at 90% certified.
Wow.
So that's an increase. A little increase, yeah.
And we talk about rules, but sometimes, I guess morphing to my next question, you have to have rules sometimes because if you don't give the students some rules, they will rule the school.
They will rule the school, no doubt.
Yeah. Anything new for the students?
Yeah, so a couple of things, yeah. One thing we're going to stick to, and we kind of put it in last year, it became a law, believe it or not. But we were, I know we were doing it before, promoting this practice, which on the third suspension, a kid is assigned, on the third one, when they're suspended for the third time, they're assigned to alternative school. They're removed from campus. So we're of the thinking that we can't allow a small percentage of kids to affect the learning environment for
they're
everybody
disrupting
else.
the whole school.
We can't allow that. And we had far too many suspensions and giving multiple chances. So anything outside of uniform infractions and tardies, any kind of belligerent behaviors, they're going to get a suspension eventually. And on the
But
third
that helps
one,
the teacher too.
it does, and it gives them a confidence that it's going to be handled. So
Right.
we need to do our part and address it.
It helps them just teach.
If not, then they're not just teaching.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're worried about
They're worried
discipline
about
and
everything
everything.
else.
Yeah.
So we've got to address that and address it, with some urgency.
Any other rules?
So, well, this is minor, and I think we've come on your show and talked about this a couple of times, but we're making an adjustment to the length of high school kids' skirts. So we've put that out multiple times last year during the summer. We sent notices, but the skirts were getting shorter and shorter, and to the point we had to kind of put in a rule that 2 inches above the knee is the length. So we're hoping they come day one with the proper length, or wear pants.
Right.
That's the alternative. We still allow shorts. Wear shorts or long pants. If not, come with the right length, or we'll have to kind of address it.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to turn into
Hopefully the parents hear you
more.
and you don't have to
hopefully,
address it as much.
Right. And then the other one is there's a law that passed this session that cell phones are not allowed during instructional time. So if a kid will come in and want to use a calculator, if a kid wants to do some research on a phone, it's against the law. It's not a school rule. We can't allow it.
And you have to abide by
So
the law.
we're going to abide by the rule. So that we don't want that to become a more intense situation where there's a refusal to put the phone away, because that's going to lead into bigger and further
Well,
consequences.
unfortunately, we're out of time. I always love talking with you.
Likewise. I
You
like
got some
coming
great
on.
things going
All
on.
right,
And
thank you.
Look forward to seeing you.
All right.
Again.
Good deal. All right. Sounds good.
There you have it. Superintendent, Terrebonne's Parish Schools, Mr. Bubba Orgeron.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.